That's our new theme song. I wrote it. It's been a lot. I thought you were going to jump in there.
I was going to do a cymbal crash, but then you cut off.
All right, do it now.
Sooner.
Do it now. Perfect. Welcome to another installation of Two Guns, No Ammo. We are dropping like flies today. G is recovering from a bachelorette party. Liesler is
working, I think.
Wow.
Per
That's
usual.
what she says.
Yeah, working.
Yeah.
And Frank is playing D&D, and he was supposed to be done at 5. Is now 6:15, and he's going to get something large and cumbersome in his rectum if he misses the whole episode.
I kind of knew this was going to happen. It happened last week, and
Well, he was only a little late.
yeah.
This is like pushing an hour.
Yeah.
So, I'm just saying,
Is he dead to us again?
He's not. He's going to be.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I'm talking like coat rack.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Right up there.
Wow.
Right on up there.
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, he's not going to like it.
Oh, jeez.
Not going to like it one bit.
Okay, we'll do a quick mic identifier. I'm Big Billy, rapping Free Willy.
The old Skrilly.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Jake.
And I'm Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to call you that exactly that way for the entire episode.
Which means we won't call you at all.
You're fired.
Yes.
You're fired. So on the Bill and Jake show, because Chris is also dead to us, my name's Jake, and I'm 50% of this operation. Oh my God!
Oh, man.
Franklin! Mic identifier.
My bad. That game was supposed to wrap up 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's how D&D goes if you haven't caught on by now.
Well, so we were like we were supposed to wrap up, but then we ran into 2 ogres and a bunch of goblins, and we had to fight. We should have called it before we fought them, but everybody was like, no, this won't take that long.
No, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
That is the veteran move. You're like, okay, we're about to get into an encounter. We got to call it off. We called off our game last Saturday, 45 minutes early, because we were marching through the woods and would eventually run into a party that we may fight. And the guy who's been DMing for 28 years is like, listen, I have to meet my wife in like an hour, so
yeah,
we got to call it.
Yeah, and I think with most of the people, like I'm the only person that has a time constraint on the back end. So to them, if they run over, it's cool. That's great. We get to play more.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, hey guys, like I gotta be somewhere at 5 o'clock. Like
Did you defeat the ogres?
Oh yeah, we kicked their ass, dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You have spared yourself a most egregious punishment that you can hear about if you just listen to the episode once it's up.
Okay.
Anyway,
yeah, Frank here. Just got done in a great D&D session. A lot of fun, good stuff. Yeah, I can talk about it at some point, maybe.
All right. So I beat a video game.
holy fuck!
Wow.
Yeah. Not my usual style, fellas. I tell you, I played.
Still suck at them.
What?
You still suck at them.
Oh yeah, I still suck at them. Yes. Okay. No, I think it took me 10 years to beat my first video game after I started gaming. Yeah, I just never. I don't know. This is the Nintendo 64 era, so I think it's.
You would noodle with the mechanics, look at the scenery, and move on, I guess.
No, I would get to a point. I'd be like, this is fucking hard. I gotta go do homework or something, and then get a new game. Be like, what was that old impossible game I was playing? Banjo-Kazooie? Where am I? Better start it again. Anyway, I played Rogue Legacy. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard of this game. It came out in 2013, and it is published by Cellar Door, might be Games or something like that. They were founded in 2009, I believe. They're a Toronto-based company. So Canadian, So what does that tell you? Friendly, chilly, syrupy.
Sorry.
Poutine.
Sorry.
So I was looking at their web. I was looking at their website earlier today because I was like, let me get really informed on this company. Their website's not super good on mobile. I mean, it works, but whatever. They made a game, it looks like, called like Don't Shit Yourself.
Sweet.
So I'm gonna have to try that out. And then they made some games that look like tower defense with bears and this, that, and the other thing. And it's pretty neat. They put that in the game. They were in portraits in the game, callbacks to their old IP. So this game we've discussed is a roguelike. One theme about roguelikes is they're pretty darn difficult. The second thing is oftentimes they have random generation of dungeons or maps or
procedural generation.
Yeah, procedural generation. And this is no different. Basically, what it is you're a little knight guy and you're not very skilled or powerful or whatever, and you run into a castle and you fight Mondus. And then you die, and your character has a little parting line. Sometimes it's a hint, sometimes it's don't step on spikes and die, you know, Lady Stark the Second's last words. And you become a portrait. Then your heir after you, who retains your armor and such, goes back into the castle. Just a different thematic change on your typical multiple lives or whatever. You go into the castle, and the castle will generate a new layout. Now, what you'll come to find is that above the castle, there's always the attic, whose specific layout is procedurally generated. To the right is always the forest, and to the bottom is always like the Hellscape dungeon. And I think in relative difficulty, it goes main castle, forest, attic, and then the dungeon. I'm still not strong enough as a character, and I've beaten the game to cruise through the dungeon area, but I can get through the rest of it pretty well. The neat thing about this game is its level up system is the amount of gold that you get. You then purchase different attributes for your character. So obviously it's not a ton of fun if you're playing games that are procedurally generated and you just keep going through random levels and hope things work out. Right? There needs to be some asset that you keep between them. This happens in FTL, Faster Than Light, a game that we talked about previously. And a major criticism of that game is that you don't get to keep enough good shit so that every time it feels like you're just running headlong in relatively unprepared. Their second entry into the genre that I can recall, Into the Breach, greatly improves upon that. We've talked about that game before as well. Rogue Legacy is different because instead of like a top-down strategy manager, it is a side-scrolling, two-dimensional bit. What the hell's the art style called? Like 32-bit, 2-bit, 16-bit, whatever. That kind, bitmap art.
Think like RPG Maker, early Final Fantasy.
Yeah, and it's nice in 2D, and they add a ton of flavor to it. So every one of your characters, you get when your character dies, you get to choose from 3 possible heirs. And they have different classes like sorcerers who are better at spells, paladins who are pretty good at everything, and special ability is to block things with their shields, or a barbarian, my jam. They're just walking tanks, right? And you can do this, eventually you get the ability to do a play on the Fusro da, whatever from
The
Dragon
French
Shouts.
version.
Yeah.
Fusro de.
And push everybody back in the
It's just a
screen.
puff of cigarette smoke that makes you cough slightly. Stop that.
But they all have little individual character traits, some of which are meaningful, some of which are not. One character trait is that your character's gay. I have not found how that is ever relevant. I think it's just
Relevant?
Yeah.
The relevant elephant?
He's related to elephant. Watch him go. Butterflies everywhere. See him blow.
Oh my God. Mr. Bucket?
Oh my god.
Put your balls in my tub, Mr. Bucket.
Oh my Christ. I live on the. All right, enough. Okay. So, some of the other ones are like peripheral arterial disease. You don't have a pulse in your foot, and I'm like, what the fuck difference does that make? Oh, when you walk on spike traps on the ground, they don't activate because they respond to heartbeats. That's how they don't kill the monsters.
My God.
And they do kill you. So that's pretty cool.
It's a very sensitive trap.
Right.
Yeah.
In medieval times, no less.
Yeah, right?
Medieval indeed.
So some of the other ones are like glaucoma, where your character is like really fucking blurred and everything else. And then there's nearsighted, everything else is blurred except you. There's nostalgic, so the screen has that like old-timey filter on it.
So if you have the glaucoma, man, is there like an herb in the game that you can like smoke that like, bro, makes it, bro, like better, bro?
No.
Damn.
Just death.
Damn it.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, what else? What else we got? There's
Why would you choose that for yourself?
Well, you might not have very, very many good options, right? You only get to choose from 3 heirs. They are also procedurally generated, and they all have their ups and their downs. Sometimes you get really lucky, like a character who has hypergonadism, which means that you always knock enemies back.
Biggest dickus.
With your giant balls.
Right, and then there's one, like, you could be giant. So you just end up with this giant, like, your sprite is physically like 2 times bigger. And you're just stomping around, smashing enemies, pushing them back all the time. And then if they're a barbarian, then you got 10 bajillion life. And you just, you can swing through walls and stuff. So you can hit things through walls. You can't transit through them. But if your sword reaches, the enemy will take damage. Some enemies can shoot, like the eyeballs can shoot blood spurts through the walls. But other enemies cannot transit through. So it plays kind of fast and loose with hard barriers, but at least it's consistent, so you begin to learn it. Anyway, as you can tell, a number of different traits. So when you get your gold, you come out and you can level up your mansion, well, which is really just leveling up your traits, and it expands your manor. And I didn't realize this. As you build your manor, you unlock more things.
Whoa.
Right?
I like things.
So you get beyond your basic paladin and barbarian classes, and you get things like the miner. The miner is a huge pussy, but he gets a gold bonus when he finds gold. Then you can move on to the ass spelunker, who knows where all points of interest are in the dungeon before you've even explored it. They are still huge pussies, though, so I don't like them very much. Also, his helmet has a light on it, and I don't know what it does. I don't think it does.
How does it work?
You click,
Is it like a candle that just sits in a thing on top of his helmet?
all I know is when I click the middle mouse button, it turns on.
Is there magic in this game?
Yes.
Okay, so it could be a magic lamp on top of his helmet.
Weren't you in the room when I said there were sorcerers, a sorcerer class? So
Yeah.
So everybody has like a magical ability, but your mana levels are greatly affected by your class. So you go to sorcerer, and then you can get beyond sorcerer, and this was one of my favorites, the spell sword. This guy doesn't actually carry a sword, but he swings his magical hand, and it looks like a sword, and everybody you hit gives you more mana. So you have your typical magical attack, which can be scythes that fly out, or big dumb axe, or whatever. Or you can use your special ability, and a giant version of that spell comes out, doing more damage.
Oh my God. I love more damage.
Quite fun. There is another class that I'm sure has a ton of potential, but I have never been able to properly use it. It is the Lich King. Low health, but every time you get a kill, you increase your maximum health to the stars. And then if you use your ability, you can switch that for your mana. I guess get your mana really high, or get your health really high, switch it, and then build up your health again and have high mana. I don't know. I'm not good enough to figure it out properly. So some of the main mechanics in this game are that when you enter into the castle, this guy, Chiron, I don't know, some douchebag in a cloak, says, "Give me all your money." And you go, "Okay." As you level up and get more gold, you can bargain it down so it only takes half, right? Whatever. There's an architect there that you talk to him, and he like slurps like a snake or something, like slend into the castle. I don't know. He's fucking weirdo. Anyway, he locks it so that whatever you've previously explored the castle you previously explored last time, you can go in again and re-explore. And this is good if you don't find all the treasures, because there are regular treasures in gold that you can find. And once they're found, if you re-enter that same castle, they don't repopulate, although enemies do. But the major thing that you go in for are the fairy chests. And the fairy chests have different things that you need to do. Don't fight as you get to the chest, or kill everybody in the room to get to the chest. And you open it up and you typically get a rune. These runes give you different magical powers that you can put on your armor, like all enemies are lower level than usual. All enemies are higher level, and you get more treasure. You get more gold with each kill. Everybody you kill gives you mana. Everybody you kill gives you health. All this kind of stuff. And that goes for each part of your armor, so you can have like up to 5 active runes at a time. If you have 5 vampire runes active, then you get 5 times as much health as just 1. Your armor has similar abilities. Now, armor, you find blueprints and you give it to the smith, and some armor has shitty armor, but it gives you plus 10% gold, plus 10% health, this, that, the other thing. You're starting to get the picture, right? So everything you do is build out here. Whenever you buy something, the next version of it that you buy is much more expensive. Pretty neat little touch is you have an overall level. I think I'm a level 125 or something like that. And then if you push escape to pause and then left shift, because this is the computer, you pull up a little card. It says level 120 barbarian queen, strength 55, this, that, the other thing. And it describes you more of like a D&D character kind of way, and it makes more sense. Like, oh, this is pretty neat. Nice little bit of flavor. Now, the thing about the game, really fast reload. You die, you go through your little animation. It shows you at the bottom of the screen all the enemies you killed. Gets you back to the landing screen. As soon as you enter, you pick a fucking air. Boom, you're in. You figure out what you want to spend your money on. You can just leave the manor, re-enter the castle. That's how long it takes. Now, it's not exactly instant, but it's pretty quick. The game itself is only a couple hundred megabytes, I believe. It's not very big. But art looks really good. A lot of creative ideas. The characters that you interact with are fun. Inside the castle, you run into this like jerk-off clown who says, hit enough of these targets and I'll give you a prize. I never do it. When you don't do it, he goes, good luck with the rest of the castle. You know, like a jerk-off. You meet this other guy with a cool cloak. He goes, for 1/3 of your money, 1/4 of your money maybe, you get to go in these chests. There's a prize in one of them. See if you can find it. And you go, okay. And then you open it and he goes, ha, 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 you're so stupid. And then you have to leave the room.
You take these video games so personally. Like they're insulting your intelligence.
Well, I tried to kill him and I couldn't hit him. I'm pretty convinced there's nothing in anything, and the hint was that he calls me so stupid. But I'll cut right to the point. I really enjoyed this game. I bought it full price for a 5-year-old game at $15. I got 18 hours and 40 minutes out of it on my first pass. It is unlike me to replay a game. However, I will New Game Plus this. All it really does is reestablish the bosses, and all the enemies are still just as hard as when you ended the game. It's basically continuing again, except you can go through the bosses. You retain all your shit. And your levels and all that stuff.
How are the RPG elements?
Well, excuse me. It's pretty limited to upgrading your different characteristics. You unlock different classes, which is a possibility for your heirs, and then you upgrade your HP, your mana, your magical damage, weapon damage, critical likelihood, critical damage.
That's fairly deep.
Mana cost.
Yeah,
For this level of game, for an 18-hour game, it is suitably built out.
You said you were like level 120 something in 18 hours. That seems like a pretty quick level up.
Yeah, the game isn't. You know, you're going through and dying in these dungeons initially every 3 minutes. Eventually, when I've gotten to my current level, it'll take me 25 because I've got 950 health, right? So, you know, the 4 different sections, you clearly, you'll get to an area that's got a teleporter, so you can traverse through the dungeon, then go back to start, or go to any other teleporter that you found. Or as you advance on, you go past the teleporter, it's a new zone, like the attic or the forest or whatever. The enemies, thematically similar, but different in design. You know, the attic has these spooky, scary wolves that run and jump at you. The forest has these headless horses that shoot flames out from their asses. You know, there's different kinds of knights, and come to find out, the versions of the knight, there's like 3 versions of knights as they get stronger. A number of times there are mini bosses, like these 2 skeletons, and they all throw bones at you, and you kill the one, and then his brother, it's like Measle and Beazle. You kill Measle, and Beazle's like, what the fuck, man? And he turns bright red, he starts throwing more bones, and you have to survive the bone slot. So you kill him, then you get a bunch of gold, and then a cooler chest appears, and maybe you get something you haven't unlocked yet.
I don't want to let the bone slot get too far away before I acknowledge that's how I spend most of my Saturdays.
Yeah.
With me.
Yep.
So, but the levels themselves are nicely designed. Like, you know, there's no castle in the world that looks like this, but really it's just big or small rooms that you transit with a lot of fucking goddamn environmental problems. I may be
Smog?
No, like spikes on the walls.
That's a problem in your environment.
Yeah, and when I touch them, they somehow still do 75
Do you
damage.
pop like a balloon?
No.
Mega Man
You go,
style? Okay.
pretty neatly, when you get her, you get invincibility. Invincibility for like a second. That's one of the things you can upgrade. Longer invincibility time after you take damage.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, I don't think I can recall a game that has that.
Yeah, a lot of games have invincibility frames, but
Right, yeah, the invincibility, but not one that you could as like an upgradable thing. That's cool.
One of my
I'm into
favorite
that.
ones is there's a rune you can get where the damage that you take, you do half that damage to your enemy who attacked you. And you stack it, you do all the damage. So I ended up fighting a boss when I was like a super OP tank with a ton of life. And he basically killed himself by killing me, you know? But so the themes change, and you're not looking for it's a 2D scroller. There's not a ton that you really are upset about. The controls themselves are pretty good. It was one of the only games that I did a custom layout, like binding to. I changed what some of the keys did based on how I wanted to move on my keyboard. It is meant to be played with a controller, right? But you can do it with a keyboard. It works just fine. Just took me probably, I'd say, 25 minutes to really get settled into. The hitboxes on these fucking spikes are infuriatingly large. Like if you're standing next to it, there will be a pause and then suddenly you're injured. Whatever. But the rest of it, like I said, it may be a little wonky. It might not be totally predictable, but it is consistent in its behavior. Like this one creature, an ice caster who normally can't hit you through walls, the bigger version of him actually casts the ice thing higher above him, which puts the image on the other side of a wall, which means he can cast through walls. Does that make sense? I don't fucking know, but that's how the game works, and that's how it always works. The music itself in this game is surprisingly good. Genevieve told me, she's like, I've got that fucking castle music stuck in my head all goddamn day, and it, poor her, there's not words, you can't sing it, you have to just I can't remember any more than that. Turns out I'm really terrible at remembering music with no words in it, but that's how it starts. She's beautiful. She remembers.
That's how I am with the
That's
Castle
exactly-
Crashers
yeah.
theme.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So there's a neat little bit of story in there. You run through the castle and you find 25 journal entries, and it's about somebody else who's been in the castle, and you follow he needs to cure the king of his poison, and he's running in there. He's the prince, and he's gonna fucking do it. And then at the end, what happens to him? So there's 4 bosses in the game, and they sort of match. I don't know about the areas, but different enemies in the game. I could say spoilers. I'm not going to tell you what the end boss is like, but these bosses, it's a 5-year-old game, so I'm just going to go for it. There are eyeballs that float in space that shoot blood at you, This one is a giant eyeball that shoots a bunch of blood at you, right? So how did I kill him? I had a ton of health, and I used certain runes, and I chopped him down. There's another one. There are these floating flame balls that are not stopped by walls, and they fly around you, and then they dash at you. Well, what's the boss? A giant flame ball that leaves a trail of flames around you, and then dashes at you. So you have to worry about that. There's another one. It's like a flaming skull. What the fuck? Yeah, there's flaming skulls that float around, and they go, sha, and they shoot little like energy balls directly above and sideways to them. The boss shoots like 5 billion of them, and then makes more of himself. So what did I do? I upgraded my kill health regeneration so I could kill all his friends and with that kind of shit. The hardest boss in this goddamn game, including the last boss, is a blob monster.
Gotta watch out for those blobs.
Every fucking RPG that's ever existed had blob monsters.
Every single one.
Every goddamn one. And guess what? Guess what? When you kill him, he becomes 2.
Yep. That's like 50% of games that have.
Yeah.
blob
Well, guess what
monsters.
else he does? He creates a fucking flying shaman who can summon a big pillar of earth to shoot up your beehole.
I mean,
I summon a big pillar of something to shoot out my beehole every morning after I drink my coffee.
And
that's a recurring theme on this
and
podcast.
that one has spikes on the floor and platforms, and these fucking blob monsters jump way further than you would expect. It's very frustrating. But I beat him too. The mini bosses are pretty cool. There's the skeletons. There's a big spooky knight, and they dive at you with their spears, and you get a cool upgrade. Another mini boss that took me probably 90% of the game to figure out was there are pictures in the game, portraits on the wall, and then there are monsters that look like portraits. When you get close to them, they shake, and then you hit them, and you can kill them. But if you run into them, they damage you. And, well, remember how I said there were portraits, callbacks to their earlier games? Well, some of those portraits are a mini boss. So he's this giant spinning portrait of Don't Shit Yourself, or like apparently Care Bears on patrol. And you kill him, you get a bonus. So that's pretty much how the whole game is made up. The music's really good. There are special rooms, like one room gives you like a third of your health and mana back. Another room, you pray to this statue and you get a random bonus. One is Helios's something or other. You can walk on spikes without damage. The other one is Sharon's Globulate. If you carry that out, he doesn't charge you to go into the castle the next time, so you can hold all your money. The other one, the most infuriating one, and why I stopped completely from praying this guy, was the Curse of the Hedgehog. So every time you get hit,
You lose all your rings.
you lose 500 gold.
I was close. I was close.
Infuriating.
They actually made a Sonic reference. I love
Wow.
I can hear the noise in my head.
Yeah.
it. Yep.
So
I can hear the Dr. Robotnik boss music.
So I told you that, before they transit to another zone, there's a teleporter. And usually there's statues with health and mana. Before each boss area, it's the same situation. However, once you beat the boss, the doors are closed, but the health and stuff still remains. So you can clear out a whole dungeon and go to the next boss you haven't fought, teleport to the old boss, heal up, and then go back to the one you haven't fought, heal up there, and go in and give it a try. Now, if you didn't get all the chests that you want to unlock, you talk to the architect. He locks it up for you, but he takes 40% of your gold. So when you go in, you can't just keep farming the same amount. You lose 40% when you lock the castle, so it doesn't really regenerate. But you can also do that to go through your heirs until you get one that's actually going to be good at beating the fucking boss. Like when I fought that blob monster and I got a giant guy who couldn't be knocked back. And then he was a barbarian with 900 health. And guess what? You can't get past my giant sword. It's huge and I'm huge. Blow me, clown. The game also does some neat stuff, like neat little touches. There's you see dark areas you got to notice. You can sometimes drop down them to secret areas. There are little like little panels that are half the size of a normal man that are dark. They're meant for your dwarven offspring. And then your dwarven heirs can run in there and get whatever secret passage it is, bypass enemies or whatever. So I got 18 hours and 40 minutes out of this. Spend $15 full price. It goes on sale quite frequently. It's totally fucking worth it. I really like this game. Everybody I've talked to goes, yeah, that's a pretty cool game. How did I end up buying it? I went to a friend's house. I played his copy. I said, I need to go home and get it. It is fucking engaging. And it was one of those, like, every day when I got home from work, I couldn't wait to play it for some period of time. The nice thing about it is you really can play it for just 15 minutes, and that's still 3 lives. My big criticism was that at one point, I had not leveled up properly. So I was really struggling to get enough gold to upgrade anything. So I just ended up in a grind. Grinding's one thing if it's low, like, experience in a game. But this, I had nothing to speak of. I lost all my gold, and I went in and I just died again. And that lasted, I would say, maybe a half an hour until I got enough to upgrade something and then progress. But that was really the only, maybe it was 25 minutes, 20 minutes, I don't know. That was really the only period of time that I was really unsatisfied with my experience. But other than that, they just did everything right. It's a lot of fun. It's not, super, it's surprisingly impressive for a $15 game. It's a really good time. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I recommend it to anybody, like your straight up general gamer. I recommend it to them over FTL, for sure, and even Into the Breach. It's a good time. Now I'm gonna play some others like it. I think Dead Cells is very similar. Darkest Dungeon, it might be similar as well, even though that's party combat. But I think it was really my first successful foray into a roguelike, especially one that's actual combat. They have another game coming out. It's like fucking Fury Nights or something.
Furry Nights?
Not furry. That's how I always got confused. But it came out this year, and I tell you, based on the merit of this previous game, I will be purchasing their newest installment.
I know some people that would be really into some Furry Nights.
Do you really, though, Frank? Do you really?
No, I don't.
Good. So that new one comes up on sale on Steam every once. Jesus Christ! Hit myself in the face with the microphone. Comes up on Steam sale every once in a while, and I'm gonna have to pick it up. This company just did a great job. I spent $15 and I got my money's worth, and I'm gonna play it again. Everything about it surprised me, So, is anybody curious about anything that I described?
I looked at pictures. It looks like a game I would play. Looks fun.
Yeah, I think you would really enjoy it.
Yeah,
especially.
nice.
I mean, it's not as hard as Cuphead, but it's not easy. It's definitely difficult.
Oh my god. Oh, did you have to? PTSD, dude.
I will tell you this though, that the ending threw me for a loop a little bit, like because I sort of offhandedly read all the journal entries, and there was a little bit of a twist that I had to figure out. But it was a nice little M. Night Shyamalan twist over there. I was surprised.
As we all know, Mr. Shyamalan is Jewish.
I don't quite get what he was going for, but I think I figured it out.
As is tradition.
It's pretty good. Leaves me a lot to think about. So pick it up. I recommend it, especially if it goes on sale for under $10.
Oh, man.
Get it.
Yeah, I meant to do that. I've picked up so many Steam sale games in the course of doing this podcast, and I have played 2 of them.
Yeah.
Oh My Gore and Fury, and there are like definitely 8 in the backlog. But every time you said journal entries, I think of Yahtzee from Zero Punctuation's song about random documents and audio logs. I have queued it up for us to listen to later. It's very short. It's part of his review of the Talos Principle. And if you like fast-paced, hysterical game reviews, shout out to Zero Punctuation. But yeah, such a funny little song about how documents, audio logs, journal entries, etc. are used to fill in plot due to either technical limitations or general laziness.
So, as an aside, speaking about other channels, I'm not going to mention the channel by name because I don't want to disparage anybody, especially established people. But a friend of mine tried to get me to watch another gaming channel that is not one I usually watch. And Sean, he was on our very first episode, friend of the podcast. And I mean, I really tried hard to watch these guys. And he picked the episodes he picked, I figure were the best of the best, right? It was literally a 22-minute dick joke and pre-cum joke. And there was some Obama in there.
Wait, it was one joke that took the full 22 minutes to set up and pay off? Or it was just a series of
It was a
unenlightened dick
22-minute
jokes?
themed, dick joke themed interaction while I was playing video games. I was like,
It's got to
this
be
is
a minimum of 25 minutes for me to pay attention.
precisely.
Yeah.
At least our dick. And people would be like, but Bill, you guys do that shit all the time. Yes. Yes, but I realize they're lazy. I get angry at them and we move on.
Also, they take a minimum of 25 minutes.
Yeah.
We don't fuck around with that 22-minute shit.
Exactly.
Amateur.
And then I got shown another one, and he's like, "It's so funny that they're so bad, and he gets so bad." And I was like, "Listen, I just want to watch somebody beat the game." My major issue, and this is similar to my issue I have with Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. People love that presentation. It's really good information. But the way he talks, I go, no person actually talks like that. He must be hamming it up. And even if I'd have to see him in person and he'd have to talk that way for me to go, I can put up with this. It just sounds so over the top. Similar to that, one guy in this show laughs in the following way. Every time he laughs, I'm going to do my best to do it justice. Right? Now does that, and Sean was saying, no, I've heard interviews, that's just how he laughs. I'm like, that sounds like somebody trying really hard to laugh at something.
I am more forgiving of distinctive laughs because they're very much a thing. I mean, Will Smith's son, Jaden Smith, courtesy of Your Movie Sucks reviews of After Earth, he has a very weird, stupid laugh. Jimmy Carr has a really goofy laugh. He's a British comedian who's pretty big. Trying to think. There's a few people. There's a few people with really goofy laughs.
That I went to high school with, that I hung out with all the time. We called her laugh. We didn't call what she did laughing. We called it jungling because it reminded you of the noise that you would hear if you were just like listening to the random background noise of a jungle.
That's good.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And then I mean there's Rich Evans on Red Letter Media who has that very distinctive, like almost shrieking, shrill laugh that a lot of people don't like. I find it hysterical.
Yeah, it gets me going.
He's so funny.
I mean, I watch Critical Role. Marisha Ray has about 30 different laughs, and they're all bird sounds. Today was a turkey. Oh, I can't even.
I'm sure.
Dude, that's dead on.
Uh-huh.
Usually it sounds like a dove or a pigeon or something. I can't even. It's all over the place. But whatever. People, you don't want to crush people's laughs too much because they're laughing, right?
Yeah.
But this, I don't believe it's real. Mm-hmm. Like, Chris, do a fake laugh. I'm going to tell you a horrible joke. Poop. Laugh. What the fuck, man? I really did.
You tasked me with laughing, and I delivered.
Oh my god, that doesn't. Yeah, like I always think of
Did you ever watch that video like from like the dawn of the internet of like like all the people laughing at each other, and it was like this one like pile up video of people laughing. There's one guy on there and he laughs like this. And
it was like a comedian. It was like a farm themed comedy show. The only funny thing about it was this fucking goober on stage. Oh my god, that was tremendous. No, but when I think of a fake laugh, I think of somebody going like, you're like, oh, maybe that laugh will kick in. Oh no, it didn't.
Fuck now, boy.
Listen. All right? Fuck it. I have some annoying laughs. I cackle sometimes. All right? But
I'm known to do like a single punctuated honk now and then. And then
what?
Then I don't know, it just happens reflexively. It's like a ha!
Yeah. Okay.
And then,
Yeah.
Speaking of laughing, when you and I watched that YMS Neil Breen video the
Your
other
Movie
day,
Sucks, Neil Breen is required reading for everyone on the internet.
I cried.
Wait a minute.
I was hysterical. I was broken.
Has everybody in the room watched that?
I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're going to transit right into that. Perfect timing, because I watched it too.
Oh my God!
Oh boy!
All right, Jacob, since you were the one who said it was homework, why don't you give our listeners a brief background on what the fuck we're talking about? What the majesty of Neil Breen is.
All right, well, if we're doing this, because I haven't seen any of the actual movies, right? I've seen Red Letter Media talk about Double Down, and I've seen Your Movie Sucks. Briefly talk about Double Down, I Am Here Now, and Fateful Findings, which is the movie he actually reviewed. I guess we're going to review his review, right? Because it is required reading and reviewing, and this is serious business. So, Your Movie Sucks is a Canadian gay gentleman who does.
He's gay?
He sucks lots of dicks.
What?
I counted.
What does he tweet this?
No.
How do we know this?
He's a
today.
He is a large YouTuber with like 800,000 subscribers, and like he's on Twitch. He does gaming. He's working on an album of his music. He does vlogs, but this is one of his, I believe, flagship things.
Wait.
That is reviewing movies.
Wait, he's gay, but you said he's Canadian?
He is Canadian.
What?
Yep.
What, are they not allowed to have gays?
No, gays is fine. Canadian?
Canadian, not
Bill,
okay.
Bill, don't be racist against Canada, okay?
You know, the only guys that I watch do playthroughs are Canadian, so.
I
I have Canadian friends. I don't.
have Canadian family, step family, but whatever.
I blame
So
Canada.
So he's a funny guy. He's very good at sounding like comedically deadpan.
Bill just hit himself with the microphone.
Bill's very good at hitting himself in the face. You know, this fella, God, I don't even know his real name. We're calling him YMS. He's deranged. He's intelligent, and his reviews are hysterical, uniformly. But occasionally he reviews something that is so batshit crazy that it's just fodder for his style of comedy, and it plumes into this gorgeous like nuclear fallout plume of hilarity. And that is the case with his review of really Neil Breen. The movie he focuses on the most is Fateful Findings, the second of his 3 total films, with I believe a 4th out recently or coming out soon. But they are Double Down, in order, Double Down, Fateful Findings, and I Am Here Now.
The thing about these movies that was really hammered home was I've always sort of had a fancy that I'd release a movie someday.
In Ireland.
And this guy, this Neil Breen, makes me believe that it is truly possible.
He has distribution, albeit shitty distribution.
I think the price was like $25 a movie. That apparently people have paid.
I'm
pretty sure he burns the CDs himself, puts them in a jewel case, and sends them to you when you order them.
Yes, and in YMS's review, he shows that. He's like, this is how they came. Cracked jewel case and all. And at the time of his recording that thing, which I think was in 2017, I have to check the date again, or maybe even older. But at the time of his recording this thing, the way you would buy each movie is you would go to his website, but he only had the one of his 3 movies for sale. So if you wanted to get the movie other than that one, you had to buy that movie, but then put it in the special instructions to the seller which movie you wanted.
Give me the other movie.
Yeah, and the instructions to do this were on a random Facebook page on his site, and not or on Facebook rather, on his page on Facebook, and were not described anywhere on his actual website, which again listed only one of his 3 movies. Presumably, he means to sell.
How many of these kinds of movies exist? Like, okay, Sharknado existed, bad movie, but like it.
See, that's
That
the
had
thing.
like a budget and like
That's-
production and
Never mind any of that. That was bad on purpose,
Right.
which is never fun.
Okay, even like Black Site Delta, like that's on Netflix. It's bad. I could see, but like there was a production value. Like I figured there's some sort of threshold of money to break into the scene, but this Neil Breen fella shoots everything in his house. He puts plastic doll heads in the desert, does his own nude scenes, somehow hires actresses to get naked with him, buys laptops in bulk on Craigslist.
So that he can abuse them.
How many of these movies exist that are they're classified as legitimate movies? And 2, how much money does it take to make one of these? 3, how do I do this and start making money off of my horrible movies?
Well, you're asking about budget, and as Mr. Breen would put it, small filmmakers should never talk about their budget. In an interview, or at least one interview that was held with him about
how
this,
much do you
where
think
this,
it costs?
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, why don't you, as the viewer, tell me how much you think it costs, and we'll, I don't know, wheel and deal as to, we'll play 20 questions or The Price is Right with what my budget was."
That's like his how he interviews though.
Yeah.
Because like that's just like his general like thing.
He's a lunatic, and it's great.
Let's play not The Price is Right, but kind of The Price is Right showcase, where you get to guess the budget of Suburban Sasquatch.
Oh my god!
And let's pick one. Pick one of his Neil Breen's movies.
Well,
I Am Here.
Double Down.
Okay, we'll do double. So you get to pick. You get to watch the movie, and you get to pick like what you think the budget is of Suburban Sasquatch and Double Down. And
a second required viewing for everyone on the internet is Red Letter Media's review of Suburban Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
It was made in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And it is terrible. And it is pretentious.
Yes.
Which makes it so much worse.
How do we get in on this? Like, I imagine Netflix must pay you real, actual money to distribute these quote unquote.
Well, there's the whole joke
movies.
that they'll greenlight anything.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I haven't checked. But I'm pretty sure Suburban Sasquatch is not on Netflix.
No, it's
and I doubt Neil Breen is either.
Lately, Amazon Prime Video has been putting a lot of these like shitty movies that like Red Letter Media does and stuff like that. They've been putting them on there. And like Deathstalker 1 and 2 are both on Amazon Prime.
I do
want to
watch those.
They're both there.
How do we get in on this?
You mean making dog shit movies?
Yeah,
we could
selling them for money.
We could definitely do that,
dude. We can afford a GoPro. That's like all we need.
No, you can film them on an iPhone. Man.
We could.
We just need. I think what you really need is a microphone.
Oh yeah, just one
we
boom
got
mic.
Plenty.
One boom. I mean, we have the ability to do ADR, right? But how well it would come out is a different story. But we could do that too. The problem is, I think, just hedging this right now, is that making bad movies on purpose doesn't. It almost always doesn't make.
We
them
would
enjoyable.
actually have to try and make a good movie and just.
We would have to do the best we can and let the failures provide the comedy.
Exactly.
And I don't know if I could accept that.
But what about the money, though?
Dude, you think Neil Breen is rolling in cash?
Okay, I want you to think about how much money we've made off of this podcast.
Zero.
Exactly. Now, what if we spent a similar amount of time and made a single movie, and they paid us $1,000 for it?
I could buy some equipment.
Yeah. You know?
Apparently, Neil Breen was a policeman in the Scream movie.
Oh my god.
Well, that's where he got all his directing experience.
There's a lot more movies than I thought he was
okay,
in.
Well,
his credits.
Oh, Jesus. I haven't even looked at that shit.
His IMDb is hilarious.
But we'll get back to Mr. Breen and YMS's review of it. It was one of the first things I saw by YMS, yourmoviesucks.org. And yeah, I mean, I've watched it probably 4 or 5 times at this point, showing it to other people, and probably at least one extra time by myself, in addition to the first. And it is one of the funniest things on the internet. because Neil Breen, all of his movies, will double down in favor of Fateful Findings. Again, I haven't seen the actual films, but I've seen several reviews of these films. The first two movies are the same movie, just done with, slightly different actors and, slightly different plot. And the third movie isn't too much different, but basically in all these things, it's just Neil Breen's power fantasy, right? And Double Down, he's like the best secret agent / terrorist / counter-terrorist. He puts like anthrax in a water supply to somehow draw out terrorists to like kill them somehow by he hacks the government. He hacks all the files from the government, which he does again in Fateful Findings. He's the best hacker. And he tells you flat out,
I'm the best hacker.
I've uncovered more information than anyone at that awesome green screen in front of the White House conference where all those corrupt politicians and CEOs commit suicide in sequential order because Neil Breen found them out.
Well, here's the thing. I think that he may not, in fact, be just a shitty director. I think maybe he is the greatest genius of our time because he is so finely walking that line that everyone believes that this is the best that this man could do. And I think perhaps he is simply taking the piss. He may be the greatest troll of our time. I mean, what was one of the guys who killed themselves? He goes, I regret my life as head of the
bank.
The bank. And he's just a fat white guy in a suit, apparently on stadium bleachers with other CEOs as they stand around.
Yeah,
as they often do.
Earlier in the same movie, the one clip that YMS shows is two of these same CEOs in a car together, and the one leans to the other and says something to the effect of, now that we have paid off all of our fellow corrupt politicians, we will be able to exploit the poor. Like just so on the nose, just talking openly about their crimes. And Neil Breen inexplicably and vaguely uncovers it all with his computers that are never turned on and get thrown around like frisbees for the hell of it.
Okay, so he's upset. He throws a book at one of his laptops in a rage.
Did it explode?
Lazily throws it. Does not explode. Good. But then he, 20 seconds later, after shaking his head, picks the book up again and throws it at the other broken laptop right next to it.
Yep.
That is not something that somebody actually believes is true. He has got to be doing this on purpose.
There's an even better example.
He's got to be a Ken M. of movies. He's got to be the Ken M of movies.
There is an even stronger instance of that, in my opinion. Okay, in the same office, in the same movie, Fateful Findings, where he and his wife are having an argument or whatever, and she comes into the office and his little study where his 4 or 5 turned off ancient laptops are sitting that he is typing on with an 80-yard typing effect that hits keys when he's not actually touching the keyboard.
Yeah.
And she comes in and he tries to turn the argument into makeup sex or whatever, and pulls her close in front of him and everything. And he starts clearing off his desk of things that would get in the way, presumably of them fucking, starting with the first laptop, which he just kind of slowly just shoves very like a cat fucking with a glass of water, shoves his own laptop off his desk, and then he steps over and kind of does the same thing to the other one, and then the camera changes to looking at them both sideways from the side, and he just reaches down and grabs some. By the way, all of the paper in the manila folders and spread around his desk, almost all of it was blank. So it it wasn't even pronounced Wikipedia or anything. He would want to save money on toner. So he just reaches down to some manila folders and flings them over his shoulder. This is how much I care about this crap because I love you more, he says through action, creatively, but so bluntly and stupidly. And then he continues to throw just awkward pause. More paper over the shoulder, another pause, more paper over the other shoulder, and then they embrace and shit. No, you're full of shit. This is retarded, and it is hysterical. hysterical. And I'm on the fence about your little theory about him being the best troll of all time, because he could be, but I need the evidence.
Listen, if you're
I need him to give it up.
I assert that he is Ken M. If you're not familiar with Ken M, he is the greatest internet troll of our time.
I think you might have mentioned him before, but please describe him again.
He's got a subreddit. You can just go to reddit.com/r/Ken M. Basically, he goes on like Yahoo Answers.
Oh, shit.
And people ask a question, and it'll be like, why does the sun go up and down? And it'll be like, because the sun gets too tired of fighting the dark during the day, so he has to get some sleep, and then the nighttime comes for his shift. And he plays it totally straight, and people get really, really, really angry at him. It's tremendous. It's really wonderful. And I believe that that's our Neil Breen. I believe Neil Breen is really Neil B. and Ken M. And they're the same person.
I don't know. Ken M just knows how to stir the pot, man. I don't know if Neil Breen, I don't know if he's stirring the pot.
He has stirred the whole pot. There's videos about his videos.
Here's the thing, Frank. N, the first initial of Neil, is one letter away from M, the last initial of Ken M. And the opposite initials, B and K, stand for Burger King, which is all they could afford to eat during the filming of his movies. Conspiracy confirmed.
I'll buy it.
Breen.
Burger King, I mean.
Breen.
Not the conspiracy.
Breen. He
also, YMS
Ken.
Fuck off. YMS also makes lots of fun Breen puns, like IMD Breen and others that I can't recall. But oh my god,
You've Breen on my mind, Jake. Did you get my Valentine?
I did get your Valentine. Why didn't you? You should have sent that to the group.
I should have.
I'm gonna pull it up real quick. Fucking, did you make it or did you find it?
I found that.
Oh my god! So he finds this fucking like Valentine card of Neil Breen. I'm looking in the group like a dumbass. Hang on. You've Breen on my mind. Yep.
Wonderful.
There it is. Here you go.
Wow.
I love the internet so much.
Beautiful place.
I just has Frank seen this?
I have.
It will melt his emoji on circuits. So, a brief aside, I was hanging out with Sean yesterday, and he got a text from, I will say air quotes, a girl.
Ooh.
And it was boobies. Oops. And she goes, oops, I must have accidentally texted the wrong number. Haha, this is so embarrassing. I meant to send that to my friend, but are you a guy? What's your name? And I texted back, my name is Norm. I'm a dude. But don't worry about it. Accidental texts happen all the time. I was like, haha. Can we get a text back? Oh, no, I sent that. Are you dude? 10 minutes later, question mark. And I was like, all right, that girl with those boobies does not follow up a random number with 5 question marks. We know this.
4 maybe, 6 perhaps, 5 way out.
So we continue, and they're like, oh, I'm going to be in Philadelphia soon. I would love if somebody would show me a good time. And I sent a text back. I said, Philadelphia? What's that? Is it in Jersey? And I get a text back, oh, do you really want to meet up? And I text back, I want to die. And they text, oh, well, this is my sister's phone, so I'll have to go. We'll have to meet here. We'll agree to meet on the internet.
At this random website no one's ever heard
or
of.
we'll do it together or something. And I was like, oh, suicide pact, I'm in. And then it's eventually like, all right, I gotta get my phone back to my sister, follow this link to like a cam girl or something or whatever. And you know, I was sitting there and I was like, this is pretty funny to me. But I wonder if they log this data, right? These bots log the interaction, and somebody's going to review it and be like, oh my God, this guy killed himself. I want to die. We're gonna get a text out, like 6 months.
You okay, bro?
Yeah, you okay, bro? I say those fake titties, but Oh, don't worry. There was another picture of titties in that same thread that after she accidentally sent it, and I was like, we gotta reverse Google search this because that's usually all they do. But I didn't know how to do that on his phone, so. Oh well, we just took a chance.
So I found I just had to go on the Ken M subreddit and found one that I would like to share.
Okay.
Ken M commenting on the Jimmy Dean Sausage Facebook page. We like your pork links, but it seems like more folks would buy your product if it was dishwasher safe. To which Jimmy Dean Sausage, their Facebook social media team, replied, Ken, we're not sure what you mean by dishwasher safe. Feel free to DM us and we can try to help you further. He responds, thank you. Well, I have arthritis, so it would be better to use the dishwasher instead of scrubbing the links by hand before cooking. Also, more kids would eat your links if the meat porks had a toy inside. Can you imagine being on the Facebook team for a major company like that and seeing that and be like going to your boss like, I don't know what to do here.
Is there any chance they don't know who Ken M is? I mean, if you're on a social media team, you're probably 15, right? That's what they do now.
Yeah, but they can't work more than 4 hours.
That's true.
Stupid child labor laws.
Let's go, child labor.
What?
South Park.
From South Park.
Oh, okay. All right, well, get your wieners together. Wait a minute. Neil Breen.
Get your Breeners together.
Wrong.
Yeah, get your Breeners together. Get your Breeners and get out. We're gonna
Hey, Jimmy Dean, release Breeners.
Jimmy Deaners, release our Breeners.
Oh my God!
Catch us on the flip side. We're back. I just relived a story about how I tripped in my own room 3 days ago. It was so scary. No, really the big thing was that I'm not strong enough to catch myself falling anymore. I mean, you're like, oh, kids can do that, whatever, but I was a grown man. It used to be easy peasy. Now my fat ass outweighs my feeble arms.
I had a mild concussion once, trying to stop myself falling. Fell straight on my chin.
Oh my goodness.
Did not work.
Did you hit it on the ground?
Remember the courtyard in high school?
Yeah.
The stone and concrete part?
Oh my God.
Yep. I felt good.
The courtyard was weird. Now they know where we are. High school's cross-reference courtyard.
My high school had a courtyard as well.
Same.
That's the joke, Frank. Check your humor circuit.
I don't see the joke.
This is why we need a soundboard, so when Frank doesn't get it, we just play like
Sparks.
Fucking
Starts
dildo
steaming
sound
smoke coming out of his ears.
I don't know. I think we
Cool.
provide decent sound effects on our own.
Sick. All right. Chris and Jacob. Apparently you guys played a game that truly exists called Shadow Complex.
Mm-hmm.
I know nothing about this. Are you a dark edgelord?
An edgelord in the dark, to be more precise.
Okay.
No. Chris, you played it more recently. I played it many, many years ago on the 360.
How old is this game?
Like
Yeah, I
6?
played the remaster actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a remaster. It's free on Xbox Gamer Pass if you have that. I was looking for something cool and quick and free to play. And
gestures.
yeah.
I just remember. So before to the audience, before we came back from the break, we were narrowing down exactly what topics we wanted to cover, and I blanked on something that I wanted to cover, and I just remembered it, and it had to do with the Xbox Game Pass and what games were available for it. So.
Okay. But it continues to be a good investment.
Yes.
So
Yes,
you picked up the
agreed.
remastered version.
Yeah, and it's sharp. I thought it looked very good. Graphically, it was nice. It played well. The shooting mechanics.
Can you tell us more about like what it is?
It's a game. It's pretty much along the vein of Metroid and Castlevania.
Okay.
Side scroll, like
Side-scroll.
platforming shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one is 3D. And there's
You still move in two directions.
You
but
still move
there's
to
depth of field. And,
Yeah. So like you could like there'll be like an enemy in the foreground that you can like diagonally shoot at, even though you're side scrolling. So that's kind of cool, but it is difficult to get used to. It's like with the sticks, being able to line it up. But yeah, that's pretty much like the style of the game. The storyline is like a guy and his wife are like hiking around, and then they stumble upon like this weird like stronghold, I guess. Like this weird group of guys that look like robots. They actually look kind of like the ninja from Metal Gear Solid. What was his name? In the earlier games.
I didn't play them.
Oh.
You tell me, boy.
Okay, so
Anyway.
they find these robots.
Yeah, so you basically start off with like, hand to hand, and then throughout the game you stumble upon upgraded weapons. There's also a mechanic in the game where when you flip on your flashlight, what the flashlight does is it'll illuminate a piece of environment a certain color, and that color will correspond to the weapon that you need to use or ability to traverse to open that area up.
That's a neat little mechanic.
It's interesting. And there's like ducts you can crawl through.
Yeah.
Wait,
It kind of develops into a big like 2D maze, and
Yeah.
you can often, while you can lock yourself out of sections, you can often get back to them another way, and then unlock that, and like just kind of, and you can go all the way back to the beginning of the game.
You can swim, and there comes a point where you can get like a scuba rebreather kind of thing. So then
I didn't even get that
under,
far.
You can swim underwater for long spans of time.
Wait,
so that
are
you
you
can
a robot?
No, you're a person, and you just like.
What do the robots have to do with anything?
Did you even explain that the wife gets abducted?
Oh yeah, the wife gets. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So the wife gets abducted, and then plot, right?
By robots?
Well, they're people
They're
that
soldiers.
look like robots.
They're just
Wait
soldiers.
a minute, are they robots or not?
I don't know where you're getting robot from. They're soldiers.
soldiers.
Oh my god!
I played it like 5 years ago.
Bill is
But
just
I said,
making up
but
the robots.
I said they're guys that look.
They're humans. Okay. They're humans with like techno-y soldier stuff on them.
Let's be clear that we will know what you said for sure because you have a microphone in front of your mouth. We will find out. In fact, we can
Eventually.
go
To be continued.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're hiking in the woods. Wife gets abducted.
Some soldiers.
Shut the
Some robot-looking soldiers abduct the wife. Boy, Chris, how did I can see why you didn't think this shit was important.
Yeah. The abduction part was important.
Sorry.
Because that's why the husband winds up in this lair, finding guns and navigating.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah. So and then you're pretty much the whole thing is that you have to go and rescue her.
Okay. So some Mario shit.
Yeah, kinda. It was a lot of fun to a point.
Wait, were all the enemies like robot soldiers?
there were
drones that you would have to kill that would like block your way and stuff.
There's like mechs too. It's mostly soldier type things, but I think they get different abilities and they have different like field cones and stuff.
So is the game mostly combat? I'm sorry, I'm yawning on the microphone. Is the game mostly combat or is it mostly puzzling?
It's both. There's a lot of puzzling.
I'd say
there's a lot of puzzling.
You played more recently. Yeah.
The puzzling was time consuming.
Okay.
The puzzling is how you get to the fights.
Okay.
Which might seem almost obvious, but it's very much that you need to solve the puzzle to get to the next room in which there are more enemies, but then you're in a puzzle. And it's not
Okay.
every room to room, but it happens a lot.
Yeah, it's not just waves and waves and waves of enemies.
No.
And then you get to a puzzle, and you're like, oh, what the fuck? A
Yeah,
puzzle?
and some of the enemies can chase. How far they can chase you depends on the terrain. Some of them can't if there's just like light barriers in front of them or
So is
whatever.
it all in a dungeon?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's like a big square map that like includes like some areas outside of this compound plus inside.
It's mostly inside, like
yeah,
like
that's the
futuristic
bulk.
military base.
A complex, if you will.
Underground, yeah.
A shadowy complex.
There
Okay.
are shadows involved because of the limitations of how light works, but that's about the extent of which they're involved. But
Okay.
yeah, I didn't get far enough for there to be a reason to justify the name, other than the dual meaning of the word complex.
I imagine shadow organization.
Yeah, maybe, but
You know.
it wasn't like
Seychelles Islands.
I didn't even like learn about a name of this organization, like their motives. I uncovered a lot of the map and eventually got stuck and was going in circles for hours and never solved that puzzle.
How?
And that was the big reason why I stopped the game as well. Generally, it was like some of the puzzles weren't terrible, but you do get to a point where solving the puzzle, like I had to go online to figure it out.
Yeah, it doesn't give you any help. I mean, it was very much an
And it
indie
was
game.
just simply bad level design.
Yeah.
Like the solution was basically hidden, and I was like, I would have never seen that. I would have never known it was there unless I went online.
There's a difference between like having to get good and just having no way to figure it out.
Yeah, like that's beyond frustrating for me.
Yeah, I mean, some of these puzzles were challenging. I wouldn't say the level design overall was bad. I thought actually
Some were very creative and very
I
good.
thought it was overall very interesting. But whatever I got, I don't know what I got hung up on. I'm pretty sure I had more than half the map uncovered. But yeah, it got me good, and I never went online. I was too lazy, so I never got past that point. And whatever it was simply missing. I hate to say I wanted a quest marker, but some type of journal with a clue
Yeah.
or something, because there isn't something like that I was able to find anyway, or that I remember finding, or I could have been neglecting such a tool. But it sounds like you haven't played it recently. There very well might not be.
No, I mean the map is not very helpful. The only other menu in there, I think, is just to like tell you what like the colors mean or like what a weapon does.
The that feeling of wandering around, not knowing what the fuck you're supposed to do next, I can commiserate so hard with the beginning of my gaming career. I mean, six years old isn't a very old game in my mind, right? I'm thinking like, early N64, even before that. Those kinds of games, you can go into a room and like there is something you're supposed to click or push against or use an item on that has never been indicated, that you would only know if you went through the menus and you're like, oh, I can combine instead of making a potion. If I push combine on just one item.
It is 9 years old to the month.
Okay.
Wow.
If I just push combine on an item and not pair with anything, it pushes it on the wall, and I'm supposed to smear ketchup on the wall, and then a door opens, and then I can go through. Or like, you're halfway through a game that has never had a hidden door, and you're supposed to look for hidden doors that aren't outlined or hinted at all. That is a staple of some of the most frustrating moments of a previous game. And, I'm of the opinion that, in fact, you are not being beaten by the game. Really, you're being let down by it.
Agreed.
So you ended up finding these solutions, you said. How come you didn't keep at it? Keep solutioning.
When it took me over an hour just to figure out like one little puzzle, and the reason I couldn't figure it out was because the level design was crummy, that was enough for me to be like, all right, I'm done.
Can you give us a specific example of a problem you had with a puzzle?
So it was basically like, all right, everywhere's blocked. I don't have this weapon yet to get into this area. So, but the map is telling me to go this way. Where the fuck do I go? Like, I'm literally in the room to go in the direction that the map is telling me to go into.
Right.
So I went online and it was like, oh, there's like this little hole behind a rock that brings you into a room below you. And I'm like, could you have given me any kind of hint that there was a hole there that I have to fall into?
Because to fall
and you had to line up with it just right too. Like you couldn't just like I ran into that area where the hole was so many times, but like he never fell through it.
Oh my god!
And they were like, yeah, you have to be like totally lined up here. And I'm like, that's terrible.
It sounds like they want you to end up being a QA tester, right? Like running against walls, smashing the A button, jumping around to see if there's anything that you can.
I think we're making this sound much worse. I mean, it was bad enough that we both stopped playing the game at different points, but up to that point, I was very happy with it.
Yeah.
And it's got like a bunch of great ratings I'm glancing at here. It does look really good, and I don't want to give people necessarily the wrong impression. These were just points of significant frustration, but okay, that takes points away. Now I kind of want to go back and pick it up and Google the salute, like pick it up again, find the salute, like Google even if it means going online and being annoyed for a bit. I want to get back. I want to see the end of that game. I just never got around to it.
That's the thing. These points of frustration will break the back of a gaming experience for me, because I feel like if I go and look at a solution, I still feel like I'm like cheating, and I don't want to beat a game using cheats or whatever. The only exception might be if everybody agreed upon, like the whole community is like, yeah, this is total bullshit, or this is nearly.
Well, when I went to go look it up, there were like points where everyone was like in agreement that like, yeah, no, this was stupid.
So, what did you like about the game, Jake?
I thought it was smooth. I thought the mechanics were good. And I don't recall a single bug. For an indie game, I mean, that's pretty well polished. Well, I mean, it's Epic Games. I don't know if that's indie.
That's not indie at all. They're they're a huge studio. They make Fortnite, and they've made what, $1 billion on Fortnite.
Well, 9 years ago were they?
Yeah, because they also
they
also make Unreal Tournament.
I think maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
I think they did. Yeah,
and
they're named. They weren't indie, but this was not a big game by any means.
Yeah.
Right.
It was on the Xbox Arcade platform.
Other major studios that have been around forever, you don't need to have every title you publish be a AAA $100 million budget game.
This was a smaller team game. I don't know what the budget was, but I could look it up here, but I mean, looking back at, I basically just have an image search pulled up.
Looking back at me, I see that I never really got it right.
Dying of Fire.
Wow.
Boo.
I thought you were gonna jump in.
Boo. Looking at these screenshots and these photographs, they're it's making me recall very fond memories, playing up to the point where I got frustrated.
all alone in the midnight.
You are flirting with losing your mic privileges.
Bill, you're gonna make me go down to the bottom of every last bottle.
Oh my god.
Christ.
All right. Superstar.
Let's say
really who they say
I like the weapons in the game. I thought the weapons were fun.
Describe them, please. 'Cause I don't remember.
So you have your standard issue weapon, which like it starts off as a pistol, and then you obviously upgrade it into automatic, bigger, faster, stronger shooting gun.
Does the pistol have unlimited ammo like in
Yes.
Doom? Okay, yeah. And it's
yes,
everything
so the whole
else is
game
ammo.
you have that's right. So you have unlimited ammo, but your clips can empty out. Your magazines can empty. So you don't have to worry about ammo, but you have to be mindful of how long you're shooting for. And reloading takes time. It's kind of annoying, but you have to like be mindful of your ducking and stuff, because there is an element of finding cover too.
Yeah, it's not like sticky cover, but
Yeah.
there's just an obstacle that you can crouch in front of.
Yes.
And, yeah.
So then after that you get grenades, which eventually upgrade to a grenade launcher to the bottom of your gun. So like you can shoot them rapid paced, which is a lot of fun. The next weapon you get is this foam, which pretty much immobilizes people. You can also shoot foam at them and then shoot a grenade, which will stick in the foam on them, and then they blow up that way, which is kind of fun. You also, and I'll go through all the weapons first, and then The next one, I believe, is a rocket launcher. And then and then there's a grappling hook and this ability. It's not where you can just run really fast and blast through blue walls, which is what I was going to bring up next. Is the colors will correspond to a weapon. So green will be the grenades, so you can destroy like rocks and stuff with the grenades. The next one, like the foam, is used to like unjam a door to open it, or again immobilize somebody. And then the rocket launchers are obviously that. And they're all used, and then like red will be that, blue will be foam, and green is the grenades. And that's how you pretty much like solve puzzles, is like getting to these areas that you can open with that, plus just a matter of getting there, which is sometimes a challenge. So, but yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, and you know, there's just a lot of like there is a lot of secret passage findings like that.
Yes,
that hole you couldn't find. I mean, like, brother, tell me about that hole you couldn't find did fit in a greater pattern of like having to reveal new paths. You know, like air ducts and breaking down walls occasionally and stuff like that. It was like that one instance of it was just not executed well, which I think may lend some credit to like how good the rest of the game is, because it's all over the place, these little details. And all it took was the level designer on that room to miss one thing out of how many hundreds or thousands of similarly nuanced things throughout the rest of the map that were done well. Just kind of to reiterate that point.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to give it a try. Although I
want to pick it up again.
I will tell you I'm going to fail, because these are like these games where you're like, oh, you're supposed to know that like there's hidden shit. I'm terrible.
Well, you know what? I mean, that was that was a bit more common than I recall. At least vaguely, with older games, like the NES days. Think of like the first Zelda game, which I didn't play very much of, but I'm sure there were lots of little things. The game developers had much less to work with, so it was easier for these things to happen. But there were times where you weren't given much help. You had to figure things out. Even more recently than that, Elder Scrolls Morrowind had things like no quest markers, no fast travel on a very large map for the time especially, with a lot of story detail and instructions provided to you that you then had to go into your journal and read, remember, and navigate to that place yourself, right? Like no help. And it's and there were other buggy things about it because it's a Bethesda game, which may have also imposed problems. It's not a game I played. I've just heard a lot about it. But, it's not the first time there have been issues like this in games of many different budgets for as long as games have been around, is what I'm getting at.
Well, yeah, I don't want to sound like we're shitting on it or anything, but I will tell you that this kind of problem is the one that I find most frustrating.
I'm right there with you.
When I was playing Skies of Arcadia, my favorite game of all time, I had to take 6 months off because I could not figure out how to land on this one platform. All I had to do was push my controller stick a different direction and I would fall off the edge of a platform. Never, ever, 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 ever in that game had I ever fallen off a ledge. Invisible walls everywhere. But this ledge you could fall off of, and it was the solution, right? So like, really can just kill the momentum. And the doctors have told me my brain doesn't work like everybody else's, so maybe it's obvious to other players, and I'm just not going to get it.
Some non-doctors too.
Yeah, if there's like a journal, if it's like read the fucking journals, you dork. I'm like, okay, I can take that, right? Mm-hmm. But if it's like, if there's you're like, I kind of got to get lucky. I will never get lucky because, the Lord made me this way. His one and only true mistake.
What about Hitler?
What about him, Frank?
The troll in me wants to say, yeah, he was all right. But as a half Jewish, I'd be remiss.
Wouldn't it be the golem in you?
Sure.
Sick. I don't know. Golems are Jewish. They're Jewish.
I mean, I just
Really?
evolved from a Geodude, so I don't know what you're talking about, but
Yeah.
Why are golems Jewish?
It's part of their ancient.
they're in the Old Testament.
Yep.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't make them Jewish.
They were made by Yahweh, so I guess, or Yehovah, depending on your reading
Okay.
of the Greek.
We are officially off them rails.
What rails?
And
Shadow Complex is it's pretty good.
How much
It's-
would you pay for it right now?
$5.
Okay, $5.
9 years old.
I wonder if it's on Steam.
It probably
It's
is.
got to be.
Probably on good old
I can't
games too,
imagine
right?
it being. I feel like it's a controller game for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. These 2D side scrollers seem like that's kind of what they're meant to be.
Well, for those who don't know, you can pick up a used wired Xbox 360 controller from your local GameStop or online for less than $20.
You can plug it into your PC,
Yes.
and most games nowadays on a modern version of Windows with a modern version of Steam will automatically detect and map your controller for you.
Yep.
You don't even have to do anything crazy most of the time because it's the future.
It's worked like a charm for me. I've never personally had an issue. Granted, I don't play a ton of console ports, I guess you could call them, on PC. Generally, the games that I play on my computer are pretty much designed for the computer, so there's really no point in plugging in a controller. Major experiences that are positives that I've had have been Dark Souls on my PC. Literally, one of those games, I just plugged my controller in, and it automatically mapped itself and worked flawlessly for Dark Souls. And Dark Souls is a game where you don't want to play with a mouse and keyboard.
No.
So this remaster of Shadow Complex on Steam, which came out in 2016, is at $15 full price. I definitely played it for more than 15 hours when I was playing it. And
This is the remastered.
and this is the remastered too.
That's
so
not bad.
So yeah.
Yeah, you saw how it had like the depth.
Now, what about this DLC? Is that included? I don't think it is. It's another $3.
DLC pack.
My God.
$2.99. 100%. This goes on sale.
Yeah.
The next couple of months you get it for $7.
Yeah. Whatever. Like, I'm not worried about it. In fact,
All right.
Or, like we said, it's free on Xbox Gamer Pass if you're on that.
Which is a nice little pivot to Frankenfield.
Yeah. So in addition to this game, Shadow Complex, on the Xbox Game Pass, I don't even think it's a recent addition, but something that I just noticed when trolling for new games to potentially play, Resident Evil 1 and 0, the remasters, are on Game Pass.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Yeah, along with Resident Evil Revelations 2, I think, which is like a more recent kind of mini thing that I guess Sega. I don't remember who makes Resident Evil at this point. I think it's
Is that
Sega.
THQ? Capcom?
Yeah. Are
That's
they?
where Devil May Cry came from.
Yep.
It was going to be a.
I couldn't remember if Sega and Capcom were the same company or whatnot. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil 1 are on Game Pass right now for free as usual, like with all the Game
I know
Pass
6
games.
is on there. I was playing 6 off of there for
Yeah.
a little bit.
I cannot remember if I've played Resident Evil 6, but that's a franchise. I don't know if we've ever talked about that franchise.
I think it may have come up once or twice, but I've not played a single minute. I've
I
seen
think a
quite
whole
bit.
bunch of them are on there, more than what we're saying.
We talked
Yeah.
about the newest one that was in like the bayou,
Oh right.
because that one was fucking great looking.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, I think Resident Evil 5 is also on Game Pass, if I remember right.
Oh wait,
Resident
big
Evil
shout
2.
out to our friends from the Netherlands. Is that who was listening to us?
Yeah, we had a bunch of people in the
Yeah,
Netherlands.
if you wonder, that accent I just did is how all Southerners actually sound.
100% accurate.
100% accurate.
So, I mean, so
Well,
Jake, you've never
you-
played any of the
Nope.
Resident Evil games. Bill, have you?
I have not played one. They seem too scary and too hard for me. Just like Silent Hill, too scary.
I would question that logic.
I'm growing into it.
Aren't
bit by
there
bit.
horrible, spooky blood monster, like blood dogs that run at you?
Mm-hmm.
No, thanks.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, like some parts of some of the games are pretty freaky, but for the most part, they're, I don't think, particularly scary games.
Listen, Frank, you don't have any imagination as a talking rock. All right, aka a robot. But mine is vivid, and then I get
Rockbot.
trapped in the nightmares with these blood dogs. And I go, this is a dream I'll never wake up from.
But I think these games, especially like I look at Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2 being on the Game Pass. One of my complaints that I originally had about Game Pass when it first came out, before they made a big push to add a bunch of like big name titles to it, such as Fallout and Metal Gear Solid 5 and all the other major titles that are really, really good games that are on Game Pass right now. One of the comments that I had was, one, at first it was, but also before it came out, it was probably going to be just a bunch of older games that you're going to pay $15 a month for that you either already played or are so old, it's like, why bother at this point? I got to say, this is like one of those foot and mouth circumstances where it's like, first of all, they didn't do that, and they've got a bunch of great games on there, but also like those three Resident Evil games, 0, 1, and 2, are amazing games that were remastered well, not, I guess, still a while ago, actually, like 10 years ago, but they still hold up to this day, the remasters. They are great games that if you missed, or it's been a long time since you've played them, worthwhile to go back and play, I think. Mm-hmm. Especially if you have Game Pass and it's sitting there and you're paying that $15 a month, you should be able to enjoy all three of those games.
Totally. Another thing I like, actually, for me with the Game Pass, I tend to go toward like the smaller, simpler game, like the more the indie games. Like I tend to gravitate toward those.
I'm starting to.
Yeah, they're just right. You know, like I'm not like Fallout 4. Like I still play that, but it overwhelms me. Like this is nice. Like I can relax and like I'm not overwhelmed with trying to figure out all this crazy shit.
Yeah, I still play Fallout 4 because I'm so familiar with it. Right. And I did the same thing with the previous 5 Bethesda games. But yeah, it took getting over that to then, get good at and I don't know, repetitive things calm me down, I suppose.
You and the rest of humanity.
Yeah, but I mean, that's why I love Fury so much.
Yeah.
Right? And Devil May Cry so much also, because they have a purpose. And that purpose is
get good.
In both cases, get good and get good and get wrecked. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
And
accurate.
Get wrecked, get good, and get wrecked some more. And
get wrecked, Rickle Peck.
Wow. But it's like a defined skill set, and like it's really rewarding when you get good.
So yeah, Devil May Cry, that was my favorite moment. But yeah,
he didn't even let me get to like the Wubba Lubba Dub Dub or whatever. No. I was really proud of you for just plowing through it.
Fuck you. Fuck you. No, it's
wait. Have you played more Fury?
No, I'm still stuck on that boss. I fell off. At least it wasn't. At least it's because I was not good enough, and not because I couldn't find the solution.
Right. There's actually a hole under the boss where you could just stab him right on his gooch. Just put your fucking spider.
That's like the ultimate weak spot, the gooch.
Yeah.
The gooch.
Can you imagine?
That's when I fight. I mean, I'm coming for the gooch first thing. Just saying.
Go for the gooch.
Straight uppercut.
That would be if I ever ran for president, that would be my campaign.
Go for the
slogan.
gooch.
Go for the gooch.
Go for the gooch.
Would that also be your nickname?
The gooch.
I'll take it.
Or is gooch like the state of nirvana that the United States can reach through solid leadership?
Yes. All
Go
of
for the
above.
gooch.
Listen, everyone loves gooch, all right?
Yeah.
Frank the
go for
It's
it.
like instead of Anthony Scaramucci, the mooch. Go for the gooch.
Frank Gabergoopy.
But anyway,
quality
back to
content.
the Xbox Game Pass.
Quality content.
We're freestyle. We're artists. We're creators, they call us.
Yeah, so please.
They also have retro games on there too. Like there's Sonic and Knuckles, which was a good time.
Sonic and Knuckles.
But here's the wholesome story. I got wholesome story time. So my mom's favorite game of all time is Pac-Man. They had the original Pac-Man on there, and her and I spent like 2 hours one night playing Pac-Man, and it was
That's awesome.
nice.
That's awesome.
Good. So
See,
thanks Xbox for that, because I would have never done that.
you know what? I mean, courtesy of Xbox Arcade, there were a few. You can buy those games for yourself too,
Yeah.
of course. So like, I bought Galaga and like the first Mortal Kombat for like $1 each, and like some other indie titles for $1 each, and the old arcade game. And now with this Gamer Pass thing, I mean, it's even better.
Dude, Galaga is a straight up boss game.
Yeah.
My dad even likes that game. He doesn't like any video.
I'm not good at it. It's my favorite arcade game.
Yeah.
And I'm garbage.
But like 90% of the experience for me is having a big old arcade like panel to
Yes.
pound upon.
Yeah, no, I intend to buy a Galaga cabinet when money becomes no object.
Me too.
Yep.
And they're like, people are like, why don't you just make an emulator? No thanks. I want the real deal.
Yep.
Did you know that the Nintendo 64 had an arcade style controller? I saw it once when I was a
yeah.
kid.
Yeah. So did a lot of in the 90s is when like all the consoles started doing that, like lots of extra peripherals.
I'd like to pick that up. I wonder, probably super cheap because they suck or something, but it'd be nice to get your hands on that. That like a super scope for the. We're wandering down the path of cool peripherals. Frank, you speaking of an update on Fury, you have some minor updates on your gameplay.
Path of Exile
Yeah.
continues to be a great game that is very, very deep. I really have not seen too many games come out in recent memory that have the depth of character creation that Path of Exile does. Now, here's an interesting tidbit, and I guess this is up for debate about how you want to philosophize about games, right? If you're a min-maxer, right?
Explain that concept, please.
Somebody who is very determined to absolutely get the most out of your character in terms of power and minimizing weakness. So, like, you want your character to be as strong as possible in any game that you play. I think that Path of Exile might actually kind of fail a little bit in that, in terms of that massive skill tree that I've shown off, the passives, because I had to do a little bit of digging to see what once I got familiar with the skill tree itself and I felt comfortable about how I like to use it and everything, I went off to find, okay, well, what are the people who played this game for thousands of hours think about this? And what I found is apparently the way that you go about the skill tree to min-max your character is the only thing you care about is building up your health on that skill tree. So you just find the places on there that will give you the most health possible. And then, and maybe this speaks to the game's depth, the gem system that they have worked in there, where all of the weapons and armor that you find have sockets in it, and then you socket these gems in there, and they can interact in different ways, and the gems themselves level up and get more powerful as you use them.
That's like materia.
Yeah, exactly. That will provide you all the offensive firepower that you need. So it's almost like there's, two separate, like, ridiculous trees that you can have. One which is visually represented in the passive skill tree that you can work your way around and get what you want. And then also all of the skill gems that you can find that you can socket into your weapons and armor and then link up and level up. The interaction between the two is kind of the key to how most people min-max their characters. And on one level, it's a little disappointing that the passive skill tree presents you with so many options. But if you're looking at a balance standpoint, it's fairly simple and really not that rewarding, right? Because if your only goal is to make your character as powerful as possible, your path along the skill tree is super simple. All you got to do is find the ones that give you health and just keep finding those and keep going around until you find more of them. And then that's it. That's all you want to do if your goal is to min-max. Now, if it's not and you want to just try and create characters in different ways, I mean, obviously the possibilities are endless. But it's also interesting that despite that fact, when people see that, it tends to turn them off. I think this is it's almost like a a credit to the game for how deep it is that it still allows you to jump into a system that is so incredibly deep in terms of your options and how you could build your character and how many different ways you can build your character based on the gems that you can find, right? And I'm within each class. You can play each class. I think there's 5 or 6 classes in the game, and depending on which class you pick, you can play them all in different ways. I picked the Witch, which is the magic caster, right? And I decided I was going to make a witch that was going to primarily summon things, more like a necromancer than a sorcerer or something like that. And there's all sorts of different things that you can find in terms of gems that go into your equipment that will get you what you need in terms of spell casting and power. You know, and if you're looking at somebody if you're trying to sell somebody on the game, you know, because this is a multiplayer game, right? You can play with other people and you can go team up and do everything together. If you're trying to sell somebody on the game, they're like, no, man, I saw that skill tree. That's way too complicated for me. I don't have the time to invest. You can say, all you need to do is find the ones that give you more health, and you will create a very powerful character. And then that kind of overcomes that fear of, well, there's too many options there. I don't know what I'm doing. It'll take too long to learn. At the same time, if that's the way to create the most powerful character, you know, then it kind of diminishes the quality of all of the other things that they've clearly spent a lot of time on.
Well, I mean, every game, a bullet sponge is going to be useful.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't think it discredits it too much, but that's an interesting observation.
Yeah. It's just very interesting that like you have this ridiculous expansive tree that you can move through and develop a character with, but you can still simplify it to a easy to remember and powerful character builder, right? I mean, it's so much more simpler than it necessarily would otherwise be, and it still gives you the option with the skill gems to use that simplicity in your passive skill tree, and then go out and find the complexity that you want in the gems and how they interact with one another.
So the game you're finding more depth and enjoyment to it as you play it.
Exactly, and for a game that I walked into knowing that it was complicated and there was a lot to learn about it, I am very surprised and really happy and understand why this is such a popular game, especially for the price of $0, right? That, yeah, it's even deeper than I thought it would be.
All right, so that's Path of Exile. Did you have a couple more on deck? You did some more Gears?
I played some more Gears of War. I mean, it's more of what you would expect. The story is better than I thought. I expected, I mean, not that the story was bad in the first 3 games, but it's like an action movie. You know, the story is there so that you can move around and kill things.
Right.
This, it's got a much better story. It's got a much better plot. I think a lot of things that help are because there's 3 games before this, they had time to develop characters, and now you see how they're different, right? Especially like Marcus Phoenix, who is in the protagonist of the first 3 games. You know, he tags along with you for some stuff, and it's just interesting that I would not have expect that to be the case for Gears of War 4, but like, you know, solid job to break my expectations, basically.
That's awesome. Was there a third?
I watched Dunkirk.
Ah, yes, Dunkirk. I saw a lot of advertisement about this. Everything I heard was that it looks fantastic, but honestly, I thought it was going to be a big, slow a big, boring movie with really great visuals. How did you find it to be?
So, you've seen Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah.
Incredible movie, right?
Incredible. Like that, but the opposite.
No. So, one of the things that Saving Private Ryan gets so much credit for is the opening D-Day scene, right? Because it's like so realistic and just really recreates the drama of what it was like to land on the beaches of Normandy. There's not much action in Dunkirk. it's not a. I mean, it's a war movie, but it's not an action movie at all. Which I thought it was going to be like Saving Private Ryan, with big explosions and
The front lines.
Yeah, the front lines of British and French soldiers battling the Germans and whatnot. You don't really see Germans. The point of the movie is not the battle that happened. The battle's done by the time the movie takes place. The battle's over. It really is a story of different people involved in evacuating all of the British soldiers from the beaches of France to get them back to England. And it's striking, first of all, how little dialogue there is and how much of the movie is just you sit there and you watch stuff happen and you know how it's going to affect the different characters that you're watching and how all of the different characters are kind of intertwined very slightly, but they don't really know it. And eventually they all kind of meet.
In heaven.
No, barely any of. I mean, some of them die, but not all of them.
So it's a character piece.
I wouldn't even say it would be that, right? Because you don't get enough background on any of the characters.
So I mean, it just reminds me a bit of like Crash from your description. Where it's all these independent kind of lives happening, and then they kind of intersect at some pivotal moment.
Yeah, kind of. I would the moments that they intersect aren't even pivotal though.
Okay.
It's just it's a story of what happened as a whole, right? About how it affected the entire course of the war, I would say, and how it was just a strange time where it was a very dark hour. There was also a film that came out around the same time called The Darkest Hour about World War II Britain when Britain was getting bombed, the Battle of Britain. And this is kind of the precursor to that time frame when everybody was getting rickrolled by the Germans, right? And they had all of the Allied forces shoved back literally to the beaches of France with nothing but ocean behind them. And you had 300,000 Allied soldiers that needed to get the hell out of there. And it didn't look good. It looked like they're running with their tail between their legs, and how the hell as soon as they leave, the Germans are going to be able to batten down the hatches and make it really difficult to get back here. And clearly we couldn't do it when we were already here. So how the hell were we going to invade? But like not just beat them on the open battlefield, but invade first and get a foothold. And everybody, you could just see one of the things. First of all, not The Darkest Hour. Dunkirk is a Christopher Nolan movie. I love Christopher Nolan movies, and you can kind of tell, even though it's very different from anything that he's done before, because
all the characters speak like this.
No, they don't.
Yes, I'm here to stop Hitler. Point me in the right direction.
Someday, I dream that you'll get in a boat back to France and go to a cafe, and I'll look across and see you there with a woman. But this isn't so surprising in this movie because you're French anyway, and you'll be with a beautiful woman. But everybody was beautiful back then because nobody's fit.
I hear you. I can't wait to come back after Hitler's dead. Some guys just love.
You know what?
It's a movie I want to see.
Here, there was a joke there about, the line some guys like to watch.
I don't think there was any joke there. That was just pure sadness.
To watch the world burn. There was a burn joke there, but I'm not going to make it,
Just end it, Bill.
Like the war, I'm here to end it.
Good.
It's a very difficult movie to describe.
What villain would Hitler be? Would he be the Joker?
He'd be the Hitler, damn it.
Or would he be Scarecrow? Because of the gas?
Oh my God.
Or would he be Two-Face? Because he's all drugged up and like blah, 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 blah.
I think he would
Syphilis.
be the Penguin, Danny DeVito.
We're gonna burn the Jews. Come on, round them up. That's my best DeVito. That's all I got.
That's
Sorry.
a DeVito and the Penguin.
I'm so sorry.
All right.
See, the thing is
I gotta fight all these Nazi penguins.
Frank from It's Always Sunny is just, he now is the Penguin, and like
Yes. The gang gets frozen.
What is okay? So what is the entertaining? I is using entertainment in the idea that every movie's entertaining that you enjoy, right? What is entertaining about this movie? People hardly talk. There's just some boats going back and forth. There's no fighting.
Yeah, I would say to me it was almost the suspense of what is going to happen to all these people. So you're introduced to the first character you're introduced to in the very first scene of the movie is a guy who's the only person left of his squad that survived a German ambush, and he's trying to make his way to the beach. And then he meets another guy who's by himself, right? And then you see a old man back in England who is at his boat, right? Just a regular old like fishing boat, with the Royal Navy coming up to him and saying, "Hey, we need your boat. We got to go evacuate some people from Dunkirk," because there's just not like there's only one dock where they could get a large ship to. So they have to find ways to evacuate 300,000 people. So they were just requisitioning any boat they could find.
That's actually, the French and the English were best buddies until that moment. That one French fisherman, never forgave the English, and that's why they're rivals now. I don't know.
So
if
they
you know
requisitioned an Englishman's boat because they were in England.
Wait a minute. What?
Yeah, there were no boats like on the coast of France. There, they were all gone and destroyed.
Oh,
right?
I thought it was a French fisherman because
no.
the Germans hadn't gotten there yet.
No, so they were in England. The Royal Navy went up to people on the southern coast of England and said, "Yeah, we need to use your boat." Anyway, this guy, rather than have the Royal Navy requisitioner, he decides, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to sail my boat and rescue some soldiers. And he takes his son and his son's friend. And, I mean, could you imagine that? Like, just being a random dude with a boat, chilling. You're chilling by your dock and ready. I don't know if he was a professional fisherman or if it was a pleasure boat, you know, whatever. But he's just sitting there by the dock. The Royal Navy says, "Yeah, we're going to take this and we're going to go use it." And, oh, yeah, there's a chance it could get shot and destroyed, you know, so FYI. And then you just say, like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go do this myself. And you just set sail and go. I mean, it's not far. You're talking about 60 miles between France and England over the English Channel.
It's still hours.
Yeah. I mean, 3-4 hours, right? By boat, if you have a decent, like, this is a small boat, so a small motor is going to make it go fast, right? And if you're going 3 miles an hour, doesn't.
You said 6 miles?
60.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. If you're only going, I guess if you're going 10 miles an hour, it's going to take 6 hours, right? I feel like you could probably push your boat a little faster than that. But my point remains, it's not a very long trip, right? It's not like you have to sail it for days to get anywhere. So that's what, like, this whole movie takes place not a very long time frame, right? It's this guy survives an ambush. This guy on a boat is going to cross the English Channel to save as many soldiers as he can, and then this Spitfire pilot, the Spitfire is a plane, is crossing the English Channel to help defend the people in the boats from getting rained on by German dive bombers, right? And the way everything interplays, the whole passage of time is interesting, because on a boat it takes couple hours, several hours to get across the channel. In a plane, it takes minutes, but because of the fuel situation back then, planes weren't very fuel efficient. You only really had like an hour to an hour and a half of fuel before you had to turn around. That's not very much help, right? Anyway, I don't know. What's entertaining about it? Almost, yeah, it's this. I would say it's the suspense that, even though you don't hear too much of the characters, if you know the situation that they're in and you recognize the situation that they're in, which I think is presented very well by the movie without, again, words, which is impressive, then you're interested in what happens to them and how the effects of one thing affect the other players who were not there for it to happen.
You'd recommend it to a friend?
I highly recommend. I don't know why it took me that long to watch it. I was really blown away by how good it was.
That was in bad taste. Blown away. War.
What is it good for?
I hate you guys.
Another break. Welcome back to our weekly wrap-up segment, What's on the Steam Sale? Right now, from a cursory review, I can tell you there's some good shit. You're liking the sound of Rogue Legacy. I think you're going to like the sound of the next one. Hollow Knight, 34% off at $9.89. Another well-received, well, I think it's a roguelike. Gee willikers. I don't see it there in the...
More of a platformer.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And by more of a, I mean it is a platformer.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't have that random generation element, but I think the combat and the leveling system may be similar. No, this looks a lot more like your...
Looks like Shadow Complex.
Yeah, Shadow Complex. All right, so great. I was talking out my ass totally. Tremendous. But I've heard really, really good things about this game. The art style, very stylized, dark colors with... there's a lot of black with some vibrant neons. More pastels, really, I suppose. Whatever nonsense I'm talking, who knows? Overwhelmingly positive for under $10. It came out 1 year ago. I think this is a safe buy, absolutely. Normally $15.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that does look very intriguing.
I mean, I know I haven't played it yet, but everything I've heard about it has been totally positive.
Wow, that does look sharp. I'm really into it.
It looks like a good game. I am very impressed. I've never heard of this game before, and I gotta say, the art is very cool. I really like the way it looks. The action looks clean, crisp. You know, especially with the color palettes that they chose. It looks fast paced, but not too fast, not to the point where it looks like you have to be some sort of freak of nature to be able to do it. I am impressed.
I mean, it's your 2D sort of side-scrolling platformer, but it's got a lot of modern creative touches, some really good boss battles. Everything's really creative and impressive. All right, J Money, you want to...
oppressive?
Yeah, whatever, I don't know. Frostpunk. Oh, is this
$25?
What on earth?
Hang on, I have to lie about my age because I'm lazy. And it's asking me for my age, even though it has my account information.
Frostpunk is the first society survival game. As the ruler of the last city on Earth, it is your duty to manage both its citizens and its infrastructure. What decisions will you make to ensure your society's survival? What will you do when pushed to the breaking point? Who will you become in the process? All right. Very positive reviews. 11-Bit Studios. I don't know anything about them. Sorry to say. 25% off at $22.49. This game came out in April of 2018, so it's relatively new. I mean, it looks very sharp.
It's only 4 months old, yeah.
If you were waiting to get this game, this would be a nice little bonus sale, I think. A regular price of $30. I mean, it looks
It looks quality. I definitely haven't heard of another societal post-apocalyptic survival game. I mean, there's Banished, which basically you try to build a community that survives in a really difficult world. That came out a few years ago.
This looks way more like a base builder.
Yeah.
I hesitate to use Command and Conquer, which is a real-time strategy, but like a cross between Command and Conquer building style with a civilization type civilization management, society management.
I said Banished, right?
You did, yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Really neat. You got heat cameras, cool animations going to different screens. Looks like really informative menus. I mean, this looks like a good game. If I wanted to spend $22.50, I'd pick it up.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it.
I would want to see somebody play it before I pull the trigger. Building games like this can go wrong in so many ways.
It's true.
That I am always very skeptical of picking one up.
Boy, this art is fucking cool.
You know, I gotta say, I am very tired of the post-apocalyptic clothing style that a lot of these games employ, where everybody's dressed in tattered rags, right? I mean, people have dressed in normal clothes, like not normal, I should say. People have dressed in non-tattered clothes for thousands of years. Civilizations have been capable of making new cloth. It's not that difficult. I find it hard to believe
We
that...
figured it out pretty early on.
Yeah, like literally 5,000 years ago.
Wait, this is post-apocalyptic, or did I just work that in there in a Freudian slip?
No, it is.
Okay.
You're ruling the last city on Earth, right? So implying that there were others before?
Yeah. So, I mean, they're definitely not wearing tatters. They look like cold people in Russia.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess, okay, yeah. The first couple of people I saw, I thought that's what they
They
looked
might have just
like.
been like paupers.
It's like a semi-steampunk, I mean, without so many of the valves, and you can be like, but Bill, that's what makes steampunk. I don't know what the words for I'm trying to describe are. With some nice warm colors, nicely faded into the oppressive snow around it. This looks good.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a worthwhile game in and of itself. Price point.
Yeah, I'll play some of the other cheap games until we get.
If it gets nothing but stellar reviews from everybody who I decide to research on it, then 25 or less price point might be justifiable.
Oh, it just said from the creators of This War of Mine. Now that is a cool fucking game. They gave them 5 bonus points in my mind.
Okay.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna cycle back here. Someday. Lego City Undercover.
Oh my god.
30 years ago I wasn't born. 10 years ago I would have been like, oh, Lego, that's gonna suck if it's not Lego Island with the Brickster. But Lego continues to put out really good IP. Their games are consistently good. The Batman Lego and the Marvel Lego and all that shit. Even the Lego movies are good. So I would expect this to be pretty good. Oh, it's a criminal guy. Is that the Brickster? Is he returned? No, there's a spaceship. I don't know.
I gotta say, it looks like a lot of fun.
It does, but it's getting mixed reviews, and I wonder why. That's really unusual for this kind of game.
483 reviews. I mean, I've heard nothing but great things about Lego games in general.
Wait, how do you have 483 reviews on a game that's over a year old and it's as big as Lego?
I don't know. I mean, some of these other games you look at have triple-digit review counts.
Yeah. Those games are all pretty silly, but they're a lot of fun. I mean, every single one that I've played, I was like, I don't know how they're making this so fun, but I really enjoy it.
Yeah, well, that game was 60% off, and it was still $16. I don't know.
That's a little much.
I don't think I'm gonna do that.
I don't think I paid more than $10 for any of the Lego. Like, I played Lego Batman, and I was like, this game is fucking awesome. But I think I paid like $8 for it.
Yeah, I still feel like you should get Lego games in like a cereal box. All right, Rocket League for $11.99. Why would you do that?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, Rocket League's a great game, but it's like constantly on sale for $2.
Really?
Well, maybe it used to be, and maybe I'm insane.
I see it on sale often, but I normally say it's normally 30, right? Or is it normally 20?
20
bucks.
20? I think I see it regularly on sale in the $10 to $12 range. I also think it's an incredible game. First of all, it's also amazing how good some people are at it.
Yeah, is it too late to get into because everybody's already gotten good?
No, I don't think so. I think if you practice a good bit, you can catch up fairly quickly. Especially if you put some thought into it, like because so many people are so good at it, there's a lot of people who have put, videos out there on YouTube where, hey, this is how you can, maximize your time at trying to improve at this game. So I don't think it's too late to get into. $12, yeah, maybe a little on the high side, but still, you can get into this game and easily put 400 or 500 hours into it, so it's still worthwhile.
Okay. A strong showing.
Yeah.
For Honor free? Download it and keep it forever.
Starter edition. This is one of those games that, like, first of all, look at these reviews. Mixed up to 41,000. They hyped the shit out of this game, and they have this fucking tiered package bullshit going on. Like, this is the starter edition that's on sale, right? That's free, or not on sale. It's like temporarily free, or maybe permanently free. No, free for a limited time. But, what the fuck is the starter edition versus the standard edition? Granted, some of these are 75% off, $25 for the gold. But you know what? This game has been out for how long? Okay.
A year.
Year and a half.
Even the subreddit for this game, like, hates it and loves it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've played it a little
seems
bit.
like that kind of love-hate sort of game.
Yeah.
I do know from some of the YouTubers I watch that it's nowhere near as historically accurate as I think many people were led to believe in advance of its release, particularly with respect to the the barbarian, like, Viking class. For anyone who doesn't know, For Honor is a fighting. It's like a cross between your typical 1v1 fighting game and
Dynasty Warriors.
I guess it's closer to Dynasty Warriors with PvP, and there's three. There's samurai, medieval knights, and like barbarian Viking types, and they each have their own skill sets. And it's not 1-to-1 at all, really, because there are often multiple player characters on the field at the same time, and you can get like outnumbered with the against them. But apparently the fight mechanics are supposed to be like pretty good. But
was it this game that I heard that was very pay to win?
I don't know.
I'll tell you, these guys look like your fucking super soldiers engineered to be 600-pound death machines from Gears of War.
From the gameplay I've seen, I don't know if it could really be susceptible to pay to win necessarily, but I that's just a.
I got hands on it.
I
got hands on it like months ago, and it was fun. I mean, I stunk. I think I got beat every time, but I think the ongoing issue is that they keep adding content, but it doesn't really fix the issues that the community has with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, some characters are still really unbalanced. Like, you can get cheesed out. There's one guy you can't break his guard. It's just, I don't know. I guess it's hard to say, but I don't even know if I'm going to play this game for free.
I mean, for free, I would consider trying it, but I would rather play other things. It's just not really my style all around. Yeah, I don't know. This isn't doing much for me. I don't know about you guys. I'm not hearing anyone jumping to speak
Chris
about
has
it.
fallen into a coma.
He died. He's dead. Wreckfest.
Oh boy.
Mostly
THQ
positive.
Nordic. That's a pretty good publisher. Bugbear. I seem to recall something nice from them before.
So
too.
it's a demolition derby themed racing game. Soft body damage modeling, sophisticated dynamics, driving dynamics, in-depth vehicle upgrades, demolition derbies and more traditional races, breakneck racing, over-the-top crashes. Okay. Well, right now I'm seeing on this video a bunch of junked cars forming a wall, a beater doing donuts around it.
All right, the physics already look pretty impressive.
Yeah, it looks good,
Yeah.
It really does look good.
but so many racing
What
games.
was the price again on this?
$33.
I mean, so many games like this look really good anymore. That looked cool.
Like this would be a lot of fun, but I'm not going to spend $33
Yeah, this
on
would
it.
be a really fun party game for $8.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say they didn't put $33 per copy worth of work into it. Because I mean, look at these physics that are happening with all these cars colliding.
It looks perfect.
It looks excellent, but I think maybe I'm speaking for everyone. It's just not really something we would flock to as gamers.
I don't know who sat around and said I need more realistic definition in my Demolition Derby game.
I don't know, but I mean, I'm not. I don't.
If you like cars and you are into stuff like I can see that this appeals to a certain set of people who would be all about it.
What I see here with these physics in particular is more tools in the game developer's toolbox, and seeing shit and I feel this way about a lot of games that have like a gimmick, and a gimmick might be a little too derogatory for what we're seeing here, but you know that it could be used in a game I do really care about. Yeah. The next Fallout game could have destructible environments and borrow ideas from programming like this. Not that the destructible environments are new. Even like Red Faction Guerrilla, which I don't know if I talked about at any point, but I played it. Its big thing was breaking down walls with a sledgehammer, and structures with explosives and what have you on the Martian surface. The game wound up being kind of but that mechanic was really cool, and I hope it spurs creativity down the road for games that are better. And this, knowing nothing about how good the game itself is, it looks really impressive from that particular angle, and I encourage it. I just don't want to pay that kind of money for it because I don't care enough.
Yeah, I'll be really interested to see how it sells, because it just sounds like the answer to a question that nobody asked, and even that's a little harsher than I mean it to be. Who's looking for a $45 realistic looking?
Somebody.
I guess.
People like whatever. Like, as nice as my computer is, right? There are people who spend the same amount of money on top of their tower to have like a racing rig or a flight sim rig.
Yeah, but everybody I know who does that kind of stuff would be, they're driving like really nice cars in a racing sim.
Well, this is like a change of pace for them, right? Like for me, liking shooters, okay, if I pick up Counter-Strike, it's going to be different from Gears. It's going to be different from Fallout. It's going to be, but they're still shooting games, right?
I mean, I did play Dino D-Day and love it, but Dino D-Day didn't cost $45,
right?
So I don't know. I don't mean to.
But what if Dino D-Day was executed as well as what we just saw at Wreckfest?
I don't know, man. I'll be curious to see how it goes. That's all I can say. I don't begrudge it one little bit. It looks pretty interesting, but all right. What the fuck is Elex for $20?
Find out if it loads. Oh wait, I have to tell it I'm the age I am.
I'm old. Wait, Far Cry 5. How did we get here?
Hold up, Steam is being done. Elex. Page.
Okay. THQ Nordic again. Here we go. They published that last one we were just looking at. Elex is a handcrafted action role-playing experience from the award-winning creators of the Gothic series, set in a brand new post-apocalyptic science fantasy universe that puts players into a huge seamless game world full of original characters, mutated creatures, deep moral choices, and powerful action. Big talk.
Yeah.
Big promises.
And it doesn't look like it's delivering. Although I gotta say, it does look great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Combat looks fun.
Character movement looks
jetpacks.
Natural. Shit, these enemies are pretty neat.
Yeah, honestly, this is growing on me.
This seems like a pretty neat reimagining of a lot of the shit you get out of like Fallout.
Yeah.
You know, the super mutants and different factions. I'm digging this.
Yeah, I could look at.
Ooh, it looks like Star Wars there. Oh my. Sexy
Strippers.
lady, post-apocalyptic, dancing on a pole. Oh, a glowing egg sack. Aliens. Robots, yep.
Robots, aliens. Yeah, this is
Oh, slit that guy's throat.
Dude, this looks like a mix between like Fallout and Mass Effect.
I was
really
thinking
does.
that.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit of Force Unleashed.
Yeah, I see that too.
Oh, that guy's got a cool sideways
Okay,
smile.
and it's came out in October of last year.
What's the how much?
$20. That's not bad.
$20 on sale. I mean, full price is $50.
Mixed reviews recently, though.
There must have been some update they didn't like. I don't know why.
I'll add it to my little wish list here. See what happens. I don't know. There was some decent kind of gameplay bits there.
Actually, could you click on the recent reviews? Let's see if we can see what. There's not enough players or something like that. Let's see. Not recommended. Disclaimer. I love Gothic 2 and played through it many times, as well as Gothic 2 Risen. What's good? Decent graphics, quality, alright performance. Overall world design is great. Definitely fun to explore. I like the whole world and the 3 factions more diverse this time around. Voice acting isn't terrible in my opinion. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we got to read more to get to the negative part. I want to see NPCs repeat.
Combat system is awful.
Oh. The combat system is effing awful. Scroll down. Character building.
This is just one jabroni's review.
Yeah. E-likes can get a lot better once you know exactly what you're supposed to do. Okay. The other one, this game crashed. This other one, game too hard. Other one, game is a mess. Buggy mess. I don't know.
I don't necessarily take bugs and crash reports at their face value because it's very system dependent.
This sounds a little bit like bug stuff.
But I mean if the trend is there, okay, it's probably the game's fault. But
maybe they just had a new release that's not totally.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, we did scroll by a positive recommendation of the 3 full reviews posted there. 2 of them were recommended and positive.
Yeah,
but they were long, so they were probably reporting on downsides. Still looks interesting. I mean, the mixed reviews are 147 out of a all-time of 5,100.
I loved Mass Effect so effing much that I'm so turned on to giving this a try because I just want more Mass Effect. And if this is its cousin, fine. All right. Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, and I think it's important not to get too bogged down in things like that. I mean, I can be pretty critical. I think we all can be, but a good game is still a good game, even if it ain't perfect. That's why I put so much time into Fallout 4.
Okay. Battle Crashers?
What?
What? Yeah, that one did.
I wonder if there's like a THQ Nordic thing going, because this one too.
I think it did say there was right in the beginning.
These might be pieces of a developer sale.
Yo! This looks fucking cool.
We've got cartoon cutscenes.
80s cartoon cutscene. $11, $11.99. So I've been watching 2 best friends play through this game, Banner Legend or something like that. Anyway, it's all done in like the Sword of the Stone. Remember that cartoon movie? That art style, and I've really dug it. This looks like, I don't know, early 90s or I don't know what decade. This looks like a cool cartoon style too. It's an RPG inspired by the classic console greats, featuring deep dungeon diving, turn-based combat presented in a classic JRPG format, and a rich story driven by exploration. Very positive and mostly positive. Came out in 2017. This looks fucking hype. I don't know. What are you guys thinking?
Not my cup of tea, but I can say it looks pretty cool.
Actual gameplay don't look bad.
Yeah, actually, that was the actual gameplay. Turn-based JRPG.
Nice silence on the microphone. I'll fill it with nonsense.
That's all we do.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't really do much for me at a glance.
Yeah, I'm not into it.
Let's say it looks cool. I guess I'm just not in the RPG kind of mindset
Rimjob
lately.
world. Okay, BioShock, don't click on it. 67% off. If you haven't played BioShock, you can't go wrong with it. Darksiders franchise. I don't know shit about Darksiders.
I played 2.
You guys seem to be really excited.
So this is this Steam sale is $5 for Darksiders War Master Edition, Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition, and the second game's soundtrack for a grand total of $5. And for reference, the remastered, I believe War Mastered Edition is some type of remaster, came out 2 years ago. Very positive reviews across the board. And I believe this is a cutscene we're looking at, but I did look at this a little bit ahead of time, and it looks pretty sweet. Another THQ Nordic. So it looks like it's third person action RPG maybe.
This looks a lot like a World of Warcraft.
It's a lot of hacking. You play your character is Death.
Okay.
As in one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Correct.
Yeah. And you're fighting against war, I think.
Yeah, I believe that's how. Yeah,
This looks
like
pretty
your brother.
good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You played
Like
it, Chris,
a
you said?
I played 2.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Okay.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. Yeah, no, it's a good game, good story. Yeah, I'm into it. Yeah, no, I
take a look at
recommend
the second one,
playing
yeah.
it.
All right.
Cutscenes are cool.
Yeah,
So
very World of Warcraft art style.
yeah, it's like a World of Warcraft hack and slash. For $5 I can definitely get into 2 games and a soundtrack that look that good.
All right, let's make the call. I'm going to pass on the free For Honor. Going to get Darksiders and Hollow Knight.
I may have to flip a coin and go with either Hollow Knight or Darksiders, just because of the price point, or I'll get both.
Yeah.
Or all 3, really.
Darksiders for sure.
That Elex is enticing, though.
It is.
I'm gonna install For Honor just because it's free. See what it's like, and really considering picking up Elex right now. That game looks pretty interesting. I'm gonna have to do some research into that.
Well, the sale only goes for another day or whatever.
Well, I have time.
Yeah.
tonight.
You don't read that fast.
I just need to
He's a robot.
watch like an hour of YouTube stuff about it, and then be like, "Oh yeah, this game looks really cool," or be like, "Nah."
All right. Once again, thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our show today.
You didn't.
Lots and lots of diversity in our content today, right? We talked about movies,
And then games.
and then games, and then videos about movies.
Mm-hmm. And some other movies and some other games and a little bit of music and some testicles and some...
We talk about testicles every week.
And that's pretty much all you need. Always forget to don't, never, not, but do for what? Cock 'em, lock 'em, and rock 'em, baby.